I have new lens. Welcome to video. My name is Paul. I have new camera and I have new lens from Russia. Greetings to all my Russian friends out there. Hey, my name is Paul. I have a nice little new lens, the legendary Helios 44M. It's the version 4. Helios has a nice lens. That's a 58mm f2 lens. It's the 4th iteration of this lens. There are actually 7 iterations of this lens, and this is the lens they used in the last Batman movie with Robert Pattinson. That's a very nice all-manual lens, and I got also a nice camera with it. The Zenit 12 XP lens made in USSR, and it's a very old camera. It's an analog film camera. That's my first analog film camera. I had 2 weeks in my life an analog film camera from my neighbor. He was a police officer in the DDR, and he photographed with this camera all kinds of crime scenes and etc. So I have a little bit experience in analog, but analog is a very nice topic for me because it limits you a little bit. And I purchased this camera with this lens on the German flea market in Berlin for like 60 euros. Alone the lens is more worth as the 60 euros I paid for the whole package. I have not yet a film in it. I think the camera works very well. It has a nice normal manual shutter and everything, and you can set in the camera actually the shutter speed from 60 to 500 in 60, 125, 250 and 50 and in B mode. And then you can also choose the ISO from your film here. And I tested this lens in Berlin. I have immediately purchased an adapter from Amazon from it, and I made this lens. I slapped it on the OG S5 camera, and with the K&F adapter, it's an all manual lens and it makes a little bit slower. It's nice sharp in the middle. Even on f2 is it still usable and sharp in the middle, but it's actually not so ultra sharp on the edges. But you don't want this on a nice vintage lens. You want actually a nice little shallow depth of field. You want not such a clinical sharp image like in most modern lenses, and it has a very nice bokeh. When you manual focus with this lens, you see it is crazy focus breathing because they didn't manage back then to implement a lot of lenses in the lens that you then can counter this focus breathing. But that's not the point. Shooting with this lens is more like a nostalgic thing. I think I will also use it maybe on a client shoot once when I make an interview or something. And let's switch to this lens now. Welcome now in the Helios 44M/4 lens. We are now on f2, and as you can see, we have a nice bokeh shallow depth of field. It's actually so tiny, the shallow depth of field, that when I move now a little bit, I'm completely out of focus. I don't even know if I'm in focus right now, but that's the look from this lens, ladies and gentlemen. And we are still running, and my wonderful girlfriend is filming me right now, and we have old Russian lens on Lumix S5 camera. It's not so easy. We are now currently on f5.6, and let's see. Can you manual focus me? Fokussier mich mal, probier mal. Manual focusing is not so easy with the lens, and the shallow depth of field even on 5.6 is actually okay. As you can see, that's nice and sharp images, and the bokeh looks a little bit different than from modern lenses, but you want this actually. I like this lens. Even looking in this lens looks actually ultra cool. You work slower with this lens, but working is over-exaggerated. Actually, having fun with this lens would be the term. As you can see, the edges are not so sharp, but I am sharp in the middle. It's completely usable, even for today's standards. And when I see in the future, I could see that lens manufacturers bring some vintage lenses in like a new housing, a new form in the future, because that's like a lens you like to enjoy because it looks different than any other lens. I film myself right now here. Sorry when I look in the screen, but we are now on f2, ladies and gentlemen, and that's how shallow depth of field is. I have my arm completely straight because 58 millimeters, and now we close the aperture and we can see immediately that is a little bit sharper now, and I think now I am completely sharp. Everything, my face is now completely sharp, and the background still looks very blurry. It's a nice portrait lens. That's, by the way, how the Zenit camera looks without a lens on it. I don't know if it's safe to keep it like this, but it is completely manual. And I have also old film with me. I have a press color 25-year-old film. On the back it says it's from April 1999 actually. That's why it's in DM, the price of the film. It was like 6 mark and 90 cents. I have absolutely almost no experience in analog photography. I know that camera has a little light metering in it. I put a battery in it that I can work with it. And if you have any tips for me for analog photography, how to get started in analog photography, what film to purchase, then maybe write it in the comments. Maybe help a little bit me out here because I'm completely new to analog photography. My plan is actually to get a cheaper film from like a store for like 6 or 7 euro or something, to learn with a cheap film and then use like these rolls here. I have maybe 10 of them. They were for like 25 years in the basement of my father, and now I have them. Maybe I show you here some scans I made with the Pentax TL500 camera or something from my neighbor. And with this camera, my little analog journey will begin. I expect I don't have so much time for complete new hobby analog photography guy, you know, but for a little bit fun, is it actually quite cool. And it's a challenge. My first film roll from this 36 pictures, it took like for me 2 weeks to finish all the film, because with a digital camera, you shoot, we make 1,000 pictures and you have like 6 nice frames, and here you have also only 36 pictures and you have also only 6 good pictures or something. But it feels also very nice and rigid. It's made from metal. It feels actually quite nice to have it, and yeah, that's a nice Russian lens. Kann ich sonst noch was sagen? Yeah, the lens by itself, which is filming me right now, is pretty cool for photography, because when I use the focus peaking in the Lumix S5, I'm actually quite fast with focusing, because I use manual focus all the time when I film for clients and stuff. I use 80% manual focus when I film, basically. So then I'm a little bit, I can say I'm a little bit more used to it. And I hope you follow me on this journey with using this lens, which they used also in the Batman movie, which is super cool in my opinion. And let's see what we can make with this lens. See you in the next video. Oh, and what we have here, it's a Kante mehrere Pan black and white film. We take this also with us. So, ladies and gentlemen, putting my first roll of film in a camera. So was haben wir. So was haben wir. So was haben wir. ISO 400. We take ISO 400. Mann, ich brauche einen Kameramann. So. So I have basically an idea on the light metering in this camera, because there are two LEDs, and when both LEDs are running you can see a little red light there, and I don't know if I'm doing this correctly, but I take you now along with me with my first analog picture. We have ISO 400 on the ISO dial here, then we have a 60th of a second, like this here, this wheel on 60, that would also be my guess now. Then I have on this on F2. When I half press the shutter, it says a little bit overexposed, too much exposure. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was my first analog picture. Let's see what this is.